greenacres.org. It'll be on the homepage under News and Notices section. We'd also appreciate it if you'd add your name, email address, and the local government you represent into the Teams chat. That'll help us with the attendance sign-in sheet. And lastly, if you have a question or comment during the presentation, we ask that you either enter it into the Teams chat feature or wait until the end of the presentation when we'll have time for questions and answers. Okay, thank you. I think we're ready to go ahead and get started this afternoon's webinar. I'd like to introduce you to our Assistant Commissioner of Community Investment and Economic Revitalization, Elizabeth Dragon. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Fawn. Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for this very important webinar this afternoon. I do see some familiar faces, so I am truly excited to see such a diverse group of participants gathered to explore ways that we can enhance the habitat connectivity for wildlife across our beautiful state. And I also see some folks that joined us for this morning's Urban Parks webinar that will be on our website shortly. I'm Elizabeth Dragon. I'm the Assistant Commissioner of Community Investment and Economic Revitalization here at DEP, and I have the honor of leading the program that the Green Acres program calls home. So special welcome to our partners. I see some local governments that have joined us today. Thank you for joining us. Your collaboration is going to be vital as we strive to create open spaces and preserve a beautiful landscape that will support the diverse wildlife. So we hope that we can bring both people and wildlife to thrive in this state by working together. So before we dive in, I want to express my sincere gratitude towards the Green Acres staff that have been working very hard on this initiative alongside our Fish and Wildlife program. We started working with them over a year ago and are really excited about bringing forward our work to you through this webinar. And thank you all for joining us and wanting to hear about how you may be able to enhance your communities through this transformative journey. Without further ado, I'm going to hand the mic back to Fawn McGee and let her guide you. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, again, hello and thanks for attending this webinar this afternoon, everyone. We're excited to share the information on our Connecting Habitat Across New Jersey State Land Acquisition Strategy. The Green Acres program has been dedicated to increasing New Jersey's open spaces and parkland since 1961. And most of you are familiar with our local acquisition and park development side of the program, but Green Acres also includes the Bureau of State Land Acquisition, which acquires land on behalf of the state. I'm Fawn McGee. I am the chief of the Green Acres State Land Acquisition Bureau. Our bureau basically acts as the real estate agent for the department, acquiring lands, all of which have been offered for sale by property owners that meet our department's priorities. Green Acres doesn't own the properties that we purchase. Once they're acquired, those lands are assigned to our department's managing divisions of Parks and Forestry, Natural Lands Trust, or Fish and Wildlife. And those properties then become part of our larger state parks, natural areas, and wildlife management areas. Our State Land Acquisition Bureau oversees all aspects of the acquisition process, from the planning and selection, the environmental reviews, to contracting for and reviewing appraisals, title reports, and surveys. We also handle the negotiations with the property owners, and we package up the necessary documents to hand off for the closings. We acquire open spaces in cities and suburbs and communities throughout New Jersey, helping to improve the quality of life for residents and visitors alike, and hoping to create environments where people want to work and actually live. We've updated our website to raise awareness among local governments like yourself, property owners or real estate agents about the benefits of selling or donating land to the state. This is a proactive marketing campaign that we've started where we're continuing to compete with land development pressures. We've updated our website to show the steps in our state land acquisition process, and we've highlighted the direct financial benefits of selling land to the state. Now everyone has the access to this information for a better understanding of the state land acquisition process. We've organized this webinar to spread the word that our State Land Acquisition Bureau is actually open to collaborating directly with you, our local governments, on identifying key properties for preservation. Connecting Habitat Across New Jersey, or CHANGE, is the NJDEP fish and wildlife effort put in place to identify key areas around the state to enhance wildlife habitat connectivity through an amazing mapping tool and guidance docs that they've created. We're here today to let you know that we've incorporated that mapping tool into our land protection efforts, allowing us to focus on high-need areas for habitat connectivity. And we're excited to introduce you to our Green Acres State Land Acquisition CHANGE initiative. But we're here to let you know that we can't do it alone. Our goal today is to encourage collaboration with you all to protect as much wildlife habitat as we can. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Larry Fink, our State Land Acquisition CHANGE liaison, with more on this initiative. There you go, Larry.
Okay, thank you, Fawn. Welcome everyone to our Green Acres webinar, Engaging with Local Governments to Protect Land for Wildlife. This webinar is brought to you by the Green Acres State Land Acquisition Program, led by our Bureau Chief, Fawn McGee, who you just met. My name is Larry Fink, and I serve as the team leader for the Green Acres State Land Acquisition Program. I've entered my contact information into the chat, so you'll have it. Now, I'll share my screen so you can see my slides. Okay, everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, so before I begin, I wanted to let you know that my presentation is about 30 minutes long. We have a lot to cover, and we'll have another 30 minutes available for Q&A following the presentation. And once again, feel free to enter questions as you think of them into the chat, or you can save them until the end and we'll address them after the presentation. So thanks again for joining us, and let's get started. We'll begin with a bit of background about Green Acres. As Fawn mentioned, the Green Acres program is part of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and was created in 1961 to meet New Jersey's growing recreation and conservation needs. The Green Acres mission is to achieve, in partnership with others, a system of interconnected open spaces whose protection will preserve and enhance New Jersey's natural environment and its historic, scenic, and recreational resources for public use and enjoyment. Notice the words interconnected open spaces. I hope by the end of this presentation, you'll see why interconnections are so important. Green Acres works with the divisions in DEP, including Parks, Forestry, and Historic Sites, Fish and Wildlife, and the New Jersey Natural Lands Trust to determine which lands should be preserved and to ensure that preserved land is assigned to one of these divisions after the property closing for appropriate management, for public recreation, and for conservation. Over the past 64 years, the State Land Acquisition Program has preserved more than 525,000 acres of land in every one of New Jersey's counties. The graph here depicts our state land preservation progress over the past 30 years. We've preserved lands throughout the state that comprise a system of 49 state parks, forests, and recreation areas, 48 historic sites, 122 wildlife management areas, and over 100 nature preserves. These preserved lands benefit our residents and our environment, including wildlife. The good news is that New Jersey has done a fantastic job preserving land. Over 30% of New Jersey is preserved, and that's largely thanks to proactive local governments, land trusts, our state Green Acres and farmland preservation programs, and strong public support for open space funding. The dark green areas on the map are state lands. The lighter green areas are municipal The dark green areas on the map are state lands. The lighter green areas are municipal, county, federal open space, as well as lands held by land trusts and conservation nonprofits. The yellow areas on the map are preserved farmland. But despite these great land preservation efforts, we continue to face challenges posed by continued urbanization. Here in New Jersey, we have the densest human population of any state in the country, and steady urban growth to show for it, as seen on the land use map on the right. The red color indicates urbanized land. Along with that urbanization, New Jersey has a very dense road network, including many high-volume roads that make it very challenging for wildlife to move safely. Land development and roads fragment the natural landscape. 120 plus native New Jersey wildlife species are threatened by habitat fragmentation or isolation. In fact, habitat fragmentation is negatively impacting all of our terrestrial species of greatest conservation need. So it's critical that we are strategic about what we do with the remaining land. Leaving our preserved lands as isolated islands isn't going to cut it. Just look at all those islands of green on the map on the left. We need to make sure that we are preserving a network of connected habitat, which means linking these islands together. So there's still much more we need to do together to protect the environment and enhance New Jersey's communities, which is why we're inviting you, the officials and local leaders of New Jersey's communities, to join us for today's webinar. Recently, we've launched several key initiatives as part of our 2025 state land acquisition strategy that will help us focus our land preservation efforts on the state's most pressing concerns. One of those concerns is the rapidly shrinking wildlife habitat and disconnectedness of that habitat. Thus, we've launched the State Land Acquisition Change initiative within Green Acres, and we're beginning to address the concern about disconnected wildlife habitat, as you will see in a few minutes. So what is CHANJ? CHANJ, that's C-H-A-N-J, stands for Connecting Habitat Across New Jersey, and was actually started several years ago by DEP's Fish and Wildlife. CHANJ is an important effort to make our fragmented landscape easier for wildlife to move through by protecting important habitats, restoring movement corridors, and making roads safer to cross. As we'll talk about in a moment, Green Acres has incorporated CHANJ into our approach for preserving land through our state land acquisition program. And we'd like to see those of you representing New Jersey's municipalities and conservation nonprofit organizations incorporate CHANJ principles and practices into your land preservation efforts as well. Together, we can make change happen. So given all the development in roads throughout New Jersey, concern has grown not only about habitat loss, but as I've said, also habitat fragmentation for terrestrial wildlife. To address these concerns for wildlife habitat loss and fragmentation, a mission statement for CHANJ was developed, which reads, to envision and guide a landscape strategy that preserves, restores, and maintains habitat connectivity for terrestrial wildlife across New Jersey, helping to ensure that healthy populations can persist long into the future. Let's watch a brief video to learn more about CHANJ.
Whether they're small like a salamander or big and wide-roaming like a bear, wildlife need to be able to move through the landscape to find food, shelter, and mates. All the things they need in life. Their movements can vary by season or by the need to go somewhere new, like this young bobcat's long meandering journey to find a territory of his own. New Jersey has done an outstanding job protecting open space for people and nature. Nearly a third of the state is now preserved thanks to proactive local governments and land trusts, our Green Acres program, farmland preservation, and the public, which has consistently voted in favor of open space funding. But that doesn't change the fact that we are the most densely populated state in the nation, and still growing. New Jersey is on track to reach build-out within the next few decades. The actions we take now will determine what our final landscape looks like and how much room is left for wildlife to roam. And let's talk about roads. To help all of us busy people get around, we've crisscrossed the state with a dense road network. They're convenient for us, but for wildlife, roads are dangerous barriers that often stand in the way of reaching the things they need to survive. Millions of animals die every year trying to cross roads in the U.S. And in New Jersey, it's almost impossible to drive anywhere and not see dead animals lying on our roadways. Roadkill is a sad but familiar fact of life, a price for our own mobility. But for some species, roads can threaten the survival of entire populations. Put simply, as our wildlands get whittled away and wedged apart by urbanization and roads, so do our wild creatures. From these challenges, change was born. Connecting habitat across New Jersey is an effort to make our landscape and roadways friendlier to wildlife on the move, protecting important habitats, restoring corridors for movement, making roads safer to cross. These are our goals. Led by the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife, CHANGE is made up of natural resource managers, transportation planners, conservationists, and researchers who have all come together to work toward a common vision of a connected landscape. And now we have some tools to share. Our interactive map shows the most important core habitats across the state and the best opportunities to link them back together. And our guidance document presents a menu of actions for preserving critical lands, enhancing habitat, and designing effective projects to help wildlife traverse roads and other barriers. Animal species here and all across the globe are up against ever-growing pressures in our human-centered world. Throw climate change into the mix, and the ability for wildlife to move and adapt has never been more crucial. Here in New Jersey, we've got the tools. Let's give our wild animals every chance to find their way.
Thanks to our friends at DEP Fish and Wildlife for producing this terrific video. Two of those friends, Gretchen Fowles and Brian Zarate, are with us today. They will be available after my presentation during the Q&A portion to help answer any wildlife questions you may have.
Whether they're small like a salamander,
Several species have been identified as ones of particular concern, such as those seen in the video and those pictured here. Bobcat, bog turtle, the New Jersey state reptile, North American river otter, monarch butterfly, black swallowtail, the New Jersey state butterfly, and spotted salamander, the New Jersey state salamander. So change is all about protecting wildlife habitat, the land, so that we can protect these and many other species that live on and in fact rely upon the land. Whether they walk like a bobcat or a bog turtle, fly like a butterfly, or swim like a river otter, our change initiative intends to provide the habitat connectivity that is absolutely critical to their health and survival. For Green Acres, this means focusing our land preservation efforts in areas of the state with the greatest opportunities for wildlife habitat preservation and connectivity, and collaborating with New Jersey's communities on this important change effort, which is what we're doing today with kicking off the effort through this webinar. Yes, together we can make change happen. Now, let's see how. First, I'd like to tell you about what Green Acres has been doing thus far as part of its state land acquisition change initiative. Then we'll discuss ways that you can get involved with the change effort to benefit both wildlife and your communities. In the next few slides, I'll give you an overview of a recently added change project area for state land acquisition, change mapping and enhancements to our land offer evaluation process, property research and landowner outreach efforts that we've been doing, and expanded collaboration with you, the officials and leaders of New Jersey's communities. Let's start with our recently added change project area. For years, Green Acres has done its state land acquisition work in various regions of the state called project areas. The state legislature recognizes these project areas, allocates funding to Green Acres for state land acquisitions, and authorizes Green Acres to spend those funding dollars in those designated project areas. As you can see, there are more than a dozen designated project areas, ranging from the Ridge and Valley and the Highlands Greenways in the northern part of the state to the Delaware River watershed and DNR Canal Greenways in the north central area to the Delaware Bay and Barnegat Bay watersheds and the Pinelands in between, all the way down to the Cape May Peninsula. Starting in 2025, we now have the Connecting Habitat Across New Jersey, or CHANGE project area. With the addition of this new CHANGE project area, a portion of the monies that are allocated on an annual basis to the Green Acres State Land Acquisition Program can now be used to fund land acquisitions in 235 municipalities within 20 counties that have been identified to have CHANGE, core, and corridor priority areas available for potential preservation. As you can see from the dark green on the map at the right, this new CHANGE project area covers a large swath of New Jersey's communities. Next, let's look more closely at our CHANGE mapping efforts. At Fish and Wildlife and at Green Acres, we've done extensive mapping to identify CHANGE core and corridor areas throughout the state. As an example, the map in the middle of this slide depicts an area in northern Hunterdon County near Interstate 78 that has a mosaic of CHANGE cores and corridors. A CHANGE core is a large tract of intact wildlife habitat. Cores are shown in solid green on the map. A CHANGE corridor is a smaller habitat area that connects the larger cores, allowing efficient movement of wildlife. The corridors are shown in shades of tan and brown on the map. You can view maps like this for your community or region using the CHANGE Mapping Web Viewer available online at change.nj.gov. This CHANGE mapping effort has allowed us to identify the CHANGE priority areas throughout the state and then create the CHANGE project area map, the smaller map that I showed you before that's shown on the right of this slide, which includes 235 municipalities. Green Acres is now using the CHANGE mapping for land offer evaluations. When we receive an offer application from a property owner who wishes to sell or donate their land, Green Acres maps the property using the CHANGE mapping information so we can easily see if a property falls into a CHANGE core and/or corridor. This CHANGE map is then shared with the state's land management agencies to inform their decision on whether or not to proceed with a particular property acquisition for the state. Now I'd like to share a few recent land preservation successes that Green Acres has had within identified CHANGE core and corridor areas. Here's one in the northern region. It's 473 acres known as the Alamucci Additions in Byram Township, Sussex County. This property is within a CHANGE core area shown dark green on the map and is a significant addition to Alamucci Mountain State Park, adding nearly 5 miles of trails to the park's trail network. Managed by DEP State Parks, Forestry, and Historic Sites, the Alamucci Additions vast forest areas provide habitat suitable for bobcats and barred owls, both of which are state-threatened species. It also has vernal pools that provide breeding habitat for amphibians, such as spotted salamanders and wood frogs. Endangered tricolored bats are also found in the area. And here's a preservation success in the South Central region. It's a 265-acre addition to the Pomona Woods Preserve in Hamilton Township, Atlantic County. This property protects lands in the CHANGE core area, green on the map. Managed by the New Jersey Natural Lands Trust, These preserved land additions to the Pomona Woods Preserve provide important habitat for numerous species, including federally and state threatened species such as the northern Myotis bats, federally threatened species, and frost and elfin butterfly, state threatened, shown on the lower left, as well as Leonard's skipper butterfly, a species of special concern, shown on the lower right. And lastly, here's a preservation success in the southern region, a 100-acre addition to Rainbow Lake Wildlife Management Area in Pittsgrove Township, Salem County. This property protects lands in both the Change core area, green on the map, and connector area, shades of tan and brown on the map. Managed by Fish and Wildlife, this property offers water access to a northern tributary of Rainbow Lake and preserves core forest and critical breeding areas for the state-threatened barred owl. Next, let's talk about our property research and landowner outreach efforts currently underway. To help identify properties of interest that are available in the marketplace, Green Acres has begun using CoStar, a property search application that shows active real estate listings. The CoStar app allows us to specify regions of interest, for example, priority change, core, and corridor areas, and find out what properties are currently for sale in that area of interest. Then, using other mapping tools, our Green Acres staff can overlay the property boundaries with preserved open space in the area, together with the change mapping information. Using these property search and mapping tools, we can then evaluate properties for potential preservation interest. If there's interest, we can then initiate with the property owner or real estate agent to encourage them to contact us and submit a Green Acres offer application. In cases where there isn't state interest in owning and managing a property, we will make a referral to you, our local community partners, to see if you may be interested and able to preserve the property. And now, through our education and outreach materials on the Green Acres website, Fish and Wildlife Change website, and through this webinar, we're reaching out to you, local officials and leaders in New Jersey's communities, to kick off what we hope will be a collaborative effort in advancing wildlife habitat preservation through the Change Initiative. On the Green Acres website, you can find one-page info sheets. They are intended for you and for property owners. One describes the benefits of leaving a legacy by selling land through Green Acres. A second one describes the steps of the Green Acres state land acquisition process. These info sheets, as well as the Green Acres offer application and more, are available to read online, download, or print out from the Green Acres website at njgreenacres.org. On Fish and Wildlife's Change website, change.nj.gov, you can find Intro to Change and Change Mapping tutorial videos, and you can access the Change Mapping web viewer. Using the Change Mapping web viewer, you can check to see if a particular property is located in a change core or corridor. There's also a detailed change guidance document for those who want to dig deeper. Finally, let's discuss a few ways that you can collaborate with Green Acres to preserve wildlife habitat. First, we'll talk about referring properties that we'd like to see preserved to one another. And second, ways you can take advantage of Green Acres local and nonprofit grant funding to assist you with your land acquisitions. And third, about steps you can take to plan better for wildlife habitat preservation in your communities. First, referrals. You know your community best, including its residents and properties. If you know of a property that an owner is considering selling, or you see a for sale sign and you think the property might be a good candidate for preservation as wildlife habitat, encourage the property owner or the realtor on behalf of the owner to submit a no-cost, no-obligation Green Acres offer application. You can download the form from the Green Acres website, njgreenacres.org. Upon receipt, Green Acres will evaluate the property and let the owner know whether the state is interested. If yes, we'll start the acquisition process and work with the owner at each step along the way. And if there's no real estate agent involved, there will be no real estate commission deducted from the sale price. If the state is not interested in owning and managing the property, we will refer it to the municipality and/or local land trust nonprofit for potential preservation. Also, you may be receiving referrals directly from us if we find a property that's for sale that is in a change priority area and is adjacent or close to municipal open space, so you can evaluate it and see if it's a good fit for your municipal open space preservation efforts. Second, local or nonprofit acquisition. Maybe you become aware of a property that's for sale, whether it's a referral from Green Acres or one that you have found on your own, and it's a good fit for municipal, county, and/or nonprofit acquisition, perhaps in addition to one of your existing parks, or perhaps it's a new green space you'd like to preserve in town. In that case, talk to the property owner to confirm interest in selling and preserving their land, and then apply to Green Acres for funding through our local and nonprofit assistance program. Our next funding round is expected to be announced in October, and applications will be due in early February 2026. And lastly, municipal planning. We encourage you to update your municipality's open space and recreation plan, or OSRP for short, to include wildlife habitat properties of potential interest for preservation. Don't have an open space and recreation plan? Well, now is a good time to create one. With a current OSRP, together with an open space tax, your municipality can qualify for the Green Acres Planning Incentive Grant, which provides 50% matching funds for an acquisition project, compared to 25% if you don't have an OSRP and open space tax. And speaking of planning, have your municipal planner and/or members of your environmental commission, open space committee, and/or planning board take a look at your municipal master plan, zoning ordinances, and development regulations, and make improvements that afford more protection for wildlife habitat. For example, check the goals, objectives, and recommendations stated in your master plan, and make sure your zoning ordinances and development regulations are consistent with the statements in the master plan and are as protective of wildlife habitat as they can be. We're here to work with you on this initiative with plenty of resources online, as well as friendly and knowledgeable staff to assist in our collaborative efforts. Here are some links to helpful information that you can find on the Green Acres website, that's njgreenacres.org, and on the CHANJ website, that's change.nj.gov. Once again, on the Green Acres State Land Acquisition webpage, you can access one-page handouts for property owners that explain the benefits of preserving their property and the steps of the Green Acres acquisition process. You can also access the offer application form that property owners can send in to Green Acres to initiate a review of their property for potential acquisition through purchase or donation. And on New Jersey Fish and Wildlife's CHANJ webpage, be sure to check out their wonderful videos and CHANJ mapping web viewer if you'd like to see if a particular property is located in a CHANJ core or corridor. We hope you'll join us here at Green Acres in making change happen. That's connecting habitat across New Jersey through the Green Acres State Land Acquisition Program and our local and nonprofit assistance program, which provides grants to municipalities, counties, land trusts, and other nonprofit land conservation organizations. We've done a lot to preserve open space throughout New Jersey. But there are many more opportunities for saving land in our communities, for nature, scenic beauty, and recreation spaces that our residents love and appreciate, and of course, for wildlife. So once again, we invite you to collaborate with us on this important change mission. And remember about referrals. If you become aware of a property that may be of interest for state land acquisition, please Let the owner know about the Green Acres program and have them send in an offer application or contact us to put us in touch with the owner. Likewise, if we find a property that looks like a good fit for your municipal or county open space preservation efforts, we will make a referral to you and ask that you follow up on it. Remember, Green Acres grant funds are available to assist you with your community land acquisition projects. Please apply for these grants. You can do so online via the Green Acres website. Feel free to contact us with property recommendations, referrals, suggestions, questions. Also, we're happy to schedule a meeting with you, your municipal planner, staff members, and/or your appointed officials, such as members of your Environmental Commission, Open Space Committee, and Planning Board, so we can brainstorm together on ways we can further our collaborative efforts to preserve land in your community. Thank you again for your interest in helping to protect wildlife in New Jersey and for attending our presentation today. We'll now open up the session for any questions or thoughts you may have. Thanks again.
Okay, nice job, Larry. Thank you for that. Okay, I see. Let's see. Joel McGreen, you have a hand up? No? Right. Tiffany, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Sure, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tiffany from the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition. Thank you so much for that information. Really great to hear about the wonderful things that are happening in this space. We are working on an initiative called the North Jersey Trail Network Initiative, and it is a regional trail initiative to connect trail networks across 6 counties in the northeastern part of New Jersey. In thinking about that, I'm wondering how we should be incorporating the change principles into our trail planning as we're just getting started. And just wondering if this is something that is included in the, I know you're working on the trails playbook, wondering if those types of things, because just thinking about like pollinator gardens and things like that, it'd be really great to incorporate some of that into our trail principles.
Sounds like we need to get together for a meeting. I think we've got a lot of good information to share.
Yeah, be happy to. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, please reach out.
Ken, you see your hand up?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to throw a little twist into this. I think this is actually better left to local zoning. And one of the reasons I say that, I'm the mayor of Marsh River Township, where some version of the NJDEP or Nature Conservancy or Natural Lands Trust owns over 50% of our properties. We're 94 square miles. So those organizations own over 50% of our properties. We get no tax revenue from that. When this started out in the 60s, I believe it was a great program and pilot funding helped along the way. But over the last 15, 18 years, pilot funding sometimes was non-existent or cut to a bare minimum. So these properties, when they're purchased by the state, come off of our tax rolls. How do we recoup that money? So, and I understand that Green Acres is not part of the pilot funding, but we have to work together to make this happen. If you want everybody to embrace this. I know my constituents that I represent have had enough of NJDEP purchasing property in our township. And it wasn't like that 25 years ago, but now they've had enough. So that's, I think local zoning, we have zoning where you might have to have 20 acres to build a house or something. It's not, we're very rural, obviously. So I think it's better handled through local zoning.
Well, and I think we respect that, Ken, and understand and look at the zoning and the opportunities. We don't use eminent domain. We work with property owners that are ready to sell and move on. And ultimately, as you said, the pilot program was cut back 10% and then held at that number, like you said, of what local governments were getting for preserved land probably 15 years or more ago. I would say continue to talk to your legislators about trying to possibly reinstitute that. But again, what we're talking about here today are the opportunities to make sure we're protecting lands before they're lost. And then we have a disconnect in lands for our wildlife. And so we're not taking properties. We're here to tell you we want to work with you. And so when these properties come up, we have an opportunity to discuss. Maybe it's better that you work with this landowner and it's not the state. And so we're hoping.
I would be
Right?
100% in favor of that. Unfortunately, the state does not communicate with us until after the deal is made with the state.
Well, that's tricky because ultimately any land acquisition out of respect for the seller is confidential. But again, we're talking before these properties are coming in. So we're trying to talk to you about properties where we should be initiating conversations with property owners.
So I understand that, and
Okay.
it's just at the end of the day, the property owner makes out, the state makes out, but the rest of the taxpayers in the township are left holding the bag. Thank you.
Yes, we hear you. We appreciated the pilot program. I would say continue to talk to your legislators about the possibility of that being reinstituted. Okay. Vincenzo.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Great job, Larry. My name is Vincenzo Ferriola. I'm a planner and project manager with the Green Acres program. I work closely with Larry and Fawn and the state land acquisition team. So I work with change data every day. I'm researching properties that DEP could preserve, and I'm curious if there are plans to include urban areas as part of this initiative, with the momentum over the years to develop urban greenways, reclaim post-industrial landscapes, transform landfills and contaminated sites to parks, and so on. Like, how could change work together in urban communities, and are there plans to expand the scope of change in the future?
Good question. I think that if you saw the map that Larry had put up with, over 200 plus municipalities, I mean, New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the nation. So I think you could walk in any direction and you basically have a population density that would count as potentially urban. And so our change map, we have an urban initiative. Our urban initiative, and then every other preservation priority that the department has. We deal with sea level rise, we deal with overburdened communities. We are looking to make sure there are parks within, a half a mile walk from every neighborhood. So in essence, what we're hoping to accomplish with all of these state land acquisition initiatives is creating open space connections for people and for wildlife. And the people are in these densely populated neighborhoods. So I think that as we get properties in, or as we evaluate properties, or we get referrals in from local governments or nonprofits, we're looking at all of those layers to see what priority benefits are being, that are being captured with the potential of preserving these properties. We're looking at all of that detail. But again, urban trails is a significant part of our state land acquisition process, because we are trying to create open space where the people are. And so in essence, I think that you may have an overlap with our change initiative, our urban initiative, and then just our general state land acquisition preservation projects.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? See more hands.
I was looking through the chat and someone asked about how to get a copy of the video. And just wanted to reiterate that after the presentation, that information on how to access the video recording will be posted on the Green Acres website. If you scroll down under news and notices, you'll find it there, along with copies of my slides. So look for that, and yeah, please share the video and or the slides freely and widely. We'd like to get the word out.
Yeah, Gretchen also put in the chat that it's on the Change website at www.chanj.nj.gov. It's right at the top center. You can go to the site. So if you go to the Fish and Wildlife website, you'll be able to pull that video up there as well. Okay. Hi, Kurt.
Hi. I just wanted to tell you guys I really enjoyed this, and I think you did a great job. I live in a rural area where I'm seeing a lot of change that doesn't seem appropriate, and I have a lot of concerns. I originally was born in Weehawken and understand that area very well. Used to live in Union City, New Jersey. I spent 37 years in Little Ferry in Bergen County, and I'm now out here in this absolutely beautiful area, Warren County, Freelandheisen Township. And anything that I could do to help or to educate, I think what you're doing is really, really important. I want to educate myself, and I want to share your video. As far as, revenues and that sort of thing, I think there's a place for everything. And in my opinion, it seems that you can do just about anything in most of New Jersey. And there needs to be places where this option is available for people who understand that, it seems like an endangered species to me. So I am all about protecting this nature, and I'm just proud that I sat in today. And I just wanted to thank you again and let you know I will be sharing that video. And I have a lot of colleagues that agree with me. And excuse me that I'm caught off a little bit off guard today. I'm preparing for my daughter's graduation party, but I was happy to jump in. And again, thank you and good luck. And anything I could do at all, feel free to reach out to me.
All right. Well, I think we'll be reaching out to you, Kurt.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get a copy of that, the acquisition form to help, and to learn more about that process of bringing, Green Acres together with potential sellers.
Wonderful.
Again, I absolutely love what you did. Kudos.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. We appreciate it very
And
much.
congratulations to your daughter.
Yeah, she did real well. She's a graduate of North Warren High School, ranked 4th in her class.
Bravo. Bravo.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
There was another comment about how to get involved hands-on. I'm trying to see where that was. Yeah, there wasn't a name here, but the question was, other than the change program, are there any ways to help hands-on, maybe on the ground within a space of helping maintain trails and preserved spaces? I guess I would start right in your local community. There are so many ways that I've seen over the years that citizens have helped maintain and protect and preserve and expand their local parks and trail systems. Contact your elected officials, of course, but you can work through your open space committee, environmental commission. Groups in towns such as scout organizations do community service projects. Oftentimes towns sponsor community cleanups, going to the parks and the trails to do litter pickups and mulch the trails to keep them in good shape. And I don't know if there are other ways, Fawn or Elizabeth, that you would recommend getting involved at the state level with helping with our state parks and wildlife management areas, but feel free to add to what I just said.
Yeah, we definitely have friends groups throughout the state where people that care about a particular park or it's in their backyards will offer assistance to do exactly the things you were talking about, Larry. So it's always a joint effort. You know, reach out to environmental commissions, reach out to our state parks or fish and wildlife representatives of a particular park or wildlife management area and ask how you can help. You know, I think we all want to recognize and take on the help that people are willing to give to make sure our natural spaces are available for the critters and for our folks.
Thanks, Fawn. I'd also like to add that the Fish and Wildlife Program has on their website this amazing BMP manual. So if you're a municipality and you're looking for ways that you can, maybe it's not about preservation, but maybe it's about making sure that you're mitigating for those road crossings. You can go under roads or you can cut back the vegetation from the roadways so that you're helping those crossings and those people thrive together. So if you check out their website, it's just another way in addition to preservation that you can help.
Hi, Kurt, another question?
Yeah, one more question. I'm just
Sure.
curious. I might be getting overzealous. Do you ever do presentations at town meetings?
Of course,
Wow. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
How do I go
Yeah.
about doing that? Let's take it to another level.
Yeah, okay. Well, you could reach out to myself or to Larry. Our contact information was in the presentation. Larry's contact information is in the chat itself. And then our contact information, the presentation and slides will all be on the Green Acres, njgreenacres.org website. So
Okay.
feel free to reach out and we would love to talk to your community about the initiatives we have going on.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Of course. And that really goes for all of you. If any of you want to just reach out and kind of have one-on-one time to talk about the specifics in your community, we would love to engage with you and see if there are ways that we can collaborate and work together on this initiative or on any preservation project. And Tiffany, I would love to definitely follow up with you on the Trails Initiative. I think we probably do have a lot of overlap and it would be great to share what we each have. Okay.
I see a hand up from Joel.
Oh, my apologies. Hi, Joel.
Hi, I've been involved with Green Acres Open Space and farmland preservation for about 25 years. And one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is this another consideration in terms of getting funding? Or is this really opening something brand new? I don't see it as being something brand new other than the consideration of wildlife is now more important than it used to be. And if the township or a nonprofit has been doing this, is there anything really different than what's been going on in the past 20, 25 years?
Well, Joel, you're right. We've been preserving land since 1961, so a lot of that land preservation and connectivity has been happening. I think what is unique about this initiative is that we have incorporated the change mapping tool into our preservation efforts. And so now we can see very clearly where these critical wildlife corridors are. And so we're being mindful of that. We're looking at the possibility of reaching out to make sure we're not losing that connection, right? And so with this new mapping tool incorporated into our efforts, we can reach out to you in Blairstown to say, there's a property that's going to allow for a continuation of wildlife corridor in your backyard. And so we're going to say, this is on the market. We want to share that with you for potential acquisition for you. Or collaboration where maybe we're co-owners of that property, or where it's a better fit for parks or fish and wildlife. So we have now a lens that's allowing us to make sure that we're seeing where these opportunities are and where they're needed. And then we're talking to you as our partners to figure out how we best secure those connections. So yes, we've been doing it since 61, but I think the new fish and wildlife mapping tool has really allowed us to zoom in and make sure we don't lose opportunities.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And if I may add, Joel,
Please.
on the local and nonprofit program side, our grant funding, when we evaluate applications for that funding, we'll definitely be taking a closer look at those properties that afford the wildlife connectivity that we're seeking to achieve. And we have a set amount of funding that's allocated every year for the local and nonprofit program. It is a competitive application process, and the applications are ranked. You know, by indicating that a property is in a change core or corridor area, that could help move it up a bit in the ranking. So we'll continue doing what we're doing, but as Fawn said, we have a renewed focus on seeing what we can do to improve connectivity for wildlife.
Okay, looks like we're just about at 2:00. Let's see, any more questions? Again, folks, thank you for your time today. Please feel free to reach out to us to further this conversation. And let's go preserve some wildlife corridors. Okay, thank you. Stay well.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
How you doing, Larry?